morning, brethren and friends. Thank you so much for coming out to the 2018 installation of officers for Acacia Lodge number 16, here holding under the most worshipful Grand Lodge, Ancient, Free, and Accepted Masons of Virginia. I want to give a special thank you to everyone for all of your support over the past year. I know Joe is going to do a fantastic job, and I'm very excited to see what he's going to bring to the lodge. For those of you who are interested in giving any presentations after the ceremony, please come up here within range of the microphone, because we might be able to hear you, but everybody, to include Joe's family who are watching online, will not be able to. I'd like to take a second, once the train passes, to go ahead and introduce the installing team. Our installing officer is Brother Donald McAndrews. Our installing secretary is Brother John Shelton. Our installing chaplain is not Brother Tim Goolsby, Brother Chuck Schrute. Our installing marshal is Right Worshipful Brother Bill Johnson. And our assistant installing marshal is Brother David Hill. If you all would please rise, we will start off by pledging allegiance to the flag of our country. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to invite our installing chaplain up for an invocation, and then I will invite up our installing officer.
Let us bow our heads. Almighty and eternal God, the fountain of all wisdom, we humbly beseech thee to bless all who are present on this very special occasion, and especially those officers who will shortly be entrusted with the authority to govern this lodge. Grant them the spirit of wisdom and understanding, that they might discern truth and impartially govern this lodge. May they always labor abundantly in your name and for the welfare of this noble institution. All this we beg in honor of your holy name. Amen.
At this time, I'd love to invite up Right Worshipful Don McAndrews to conduct the installation.
Brother Installing Secretary, be pleased to call the names of the officers duly elected and appointed to serve this lodge for the ensuing year. As their names are called, let each take his position at the altar. Let the master-elect stand in front of his officers and immediately behind the altar.
Joseph Robert Furtek, Master-elect. David Albert Smith, proxy for Robert Wayne New, Jr., Senior Warden-elect. Scott Christopher Springer, Junior Warden-elect. Hussein Hamadanshi, proxy for William Charles May, Treasurer-elect. David Carroll Morris, Secretary-elect. Frank Todd Anthony, Senior Deacon-elect. Christian Robert Prentice, Junior Deacon-elect. Jeffrey Sanford Wells, proxy for John Brantley Baber, Chaplain Select. James Eiley McDaniel, proxy for Andy Carl McDonald, Senior Steward Select. Gary Paul France, proxy for Eric Dean Parkhurst, Junior Steward Select. Larry Dwayne Parks, Marshal Select. James Cook Cole, Musician Select. Adam Samuel Roth, proxy for Charles Alfred Selby, Tyler Select.
Each officer to be installed will place his right hand over his heart and repeat after me the obligation of the office which he bears. I promise upon my honor as a Master Mason that I will, to the best of my ability, conform to and abide by the ancient landmarks, customs, and usages of Masonry, the laws, rules, edicts, and resolutions of the Grand Lodge, ancient, free, and accepted Masons of the Commonwealth of Virginia, and the bylaws of this lodge, and that I will faithfully perform the duties of the office to which I have been elected or appointed for the ensuing Masonic year, and until my successor shall have been chosen and installed. So help me God, to keep this my solemn obligation. Masonry teaches us that we should never begin any great and important undertaking without invoking the blessing of deity. Would you please rise for a word of prayer? You got that prayer? Hang on. Supreme Architect of the universe, grant that those who are now about to be invested with the government of this lodge may be endued with the wisdom to instruct their brethren in all their duties. May brotherly love, relief, and truth always prevail among the members of this lodge, and may this bond of union continue to strengthen the lodges throughout the world. Bless all our brethren wheresoever dispersed, and grant them speedy relief to all who are either oppressed or distressed. We are affectionately commend to thee all the members of thy whole family. May they increase in grace, in knowledge of thee, and in the love of each other. Finally, may we finish all our works here below with thy approbation, and then have our transition from this earthly abode to thy heavenly temple above, there to enjoy light, glory, and bliss, ineffable and eternal. Amen. Will everyone please be seated, except you guys. Brother Installing Marshal, you will present the Master-elect in the East.
Brother Installing Officer, I present Brother Joseph Robert Vertek for installation as Master.
Brother Vertek, previous to your investiture, it is necessary that you should signify your assent to those ancient charges and regulations which point out the duty of the master of a lodge. You promise to be a good man and true, and strictly to obey the moral law.
I do.
You agree to be a peaceful citizen and cheerfully conform to the laws of the country in which you reside. You promise not to be concerned in conspiracies or plots against the government, but patiently to submit to the decisions of the Supreme Legislature. You agree to pay a proper respect to the civil magistrates, to walk uprightly, work diligently, live credibly, and act honorably by all men. You agree to hold in veneration the original rulers and patrons of the Order of Masonry and their regular successors, supreme and subordinate, according to their stations, and to submit to the awards of your brethren when convened, in every case consistent with the constitutions of the order. You agree to avoid private picks and quarrels and to guard against intemperance and excess. You agree to be cautious in carriage and behavior, courteous to your brethren, and faithful to your lodge. You agree to respect genuine brethren and to discountenance impostors and all dissenters from the original plan of Masonry. You agree to promote the general good of society, to cultivate the social virtues, and to propagate the knowledge of the art. You promise to pay homage to the Grand Master and to his officers when duly installed, and strictly to conform to every edict of the Grand Lodge or General Assembly of Masons that is not subversive of the principles and groundwork of Masonry. You admit that it is not in the power of any man or body of men to make innovations in the body of Masonry. You promise a regular attendance on the committees and communications of the Grand Lodge on receiving proper notice, and to pay attention to all the duties of Masonry on convenient occasions. You admit that no new lodge shall be formed without the permission of the Grand Lodge, and that no countenance be given an irregular lodge, or any person clandestinely initiated therein, being contrary to the ancient charges of the order. You admit that no person can be regularly made a Mason in, or admitted a member of, any regular lodge without previous notice and due inquiry into his character. You agree that no visitor shall be received into your lodge without due examination and producing proper vouchers of his having been initiated into a regular lodge. These are the regulations of free and accepted Masons. Do you submit to and promise to support them as masters have done in all ages before you?
I do.
Brother Furtek, in consequence of your cheerful conformity to the charges and regulations of the order, you are now to be installed master of the lodge in full confidence of your care, skill, and capacity to govern the same. I now invest you with the badge of your office, the square. Which will silently admonish you to do justice to the cause of Masonry, give due commendation to the worthy members of the order, and rebuke those who act contrary to its laws. The holy writings, the great light in Masonry, will guide you to, it will direct your path to the temple of happiness and point out the whole duty of man. The square teaches us to regulate our actions by rule and line, and to harmonize our conduct by the principles of morality and virtue. The compasses teach us to limit our desires in every station, that rising to eminence by virtue and merit, we may live respected and die regretted. The rule directs that we should punctually observe our duty, press forward in the path of virtue, and neither inclining to the right nor to the left, in all our actions have eternity in view. The line teaches the criterion of moral rectitude, to avoid dissimulation in conversation and action, and to direct your steps to the path which leads to a glorious immortality. The Book of Constitutions you are to search at all times. Cause it to be read in your lodge that none may pretend ignorance of the excellent precepts it enjoins. I now present you with the charter of your lodge, which you will carefully preserve. See that no improper use is made of it, and safely transmit it to your successor in office. You will also receive in charge the bylaws of your lodge, which you are to see carefully and punctually executed. And now I present you with the emblem of authority, the gavel. As the scepter in the hands of the king, so is the gavel in the hand of the master. Use it not arbitrarily, but prudently, and if occasion require, firmly. Come on up here. Worshipful sir, it is your province to remain covered while the rest of the brethren remain uncovered during the sessions of your lodge. The origin of this Masonic tradition may be founded upon the wearing of a crown by King Solomon as a mark of dignity. Rulers and kings since their time have worn their crowns on ceremonial occasions as a symbol of their dignity and authority, and their subjects have, as a mark of respect, uncovered in their presence. The wearing of your hat while occupying the chair of Worshipful Master symbolizes the dignity and authority of your office and distinguishes you from the rest of the crowd. Worshipful Master, behold your friends and brethren. Friends and my brethren, behold the Worshipful Master of Acacia Lodge No. 16, and congratulate him accordingly. Worshipful sir, being chosen master of this lodge, you cannot be insensible of the obligations which devolve on you as their head, nor of your responsibility for the faithful discharge of the important duties annexed to your appointment. The honor, reputation, and usefulness of your lodge will materially depend upon the skill and assiduity with which you manage its concerns. Its members will be materially promoted in proportion to the zeal and ability with which you propagate the genuine principles of our institution. For a pattern of imitation, consider the great luminary of nature, which, rising in the east, regularly diffuses light and luster to all within its circle. In like manner, it is your province to spread and communicate light and instruction to the brethren of your lodge. Forcibly impress upon them the dignity and high importance of Masonry, and seriously admonish them never to disgrace it. Charge them to practice out of the lodge those duties which are inculcated in it, and by amiable, discreet, and virtuous conduct, to convince mankind of the goodness of the institution, so that when anyone is said to be a member of it, the world may know that he is one to whom the burdened heart may pour out its sorrows, to whom distress may prefer its suit, whose hand is guided by justice, and whose heart is expanded by benevolence. In short, by a diligent observance of the bylaws of your lodge, the constitutions of Masonry, and above all, the Holy Scriptures, which are given as a rule and guide to your faith, you will be enabled to acquit yourself with honor and reputation, and lay up a crown of rejoicing which shall continue till time shall be no more. Worshipful Master, that completes your installation. If it is your desire, I will be happy to continue to install the remaining officers.
I would be honored, Right Worship.
Have a seat, take off your hat, and relax for the last time for the next 12 months. Brother Stalling Marshall, present the next officer for installation.
Brother installing officer, I present Brother David Albert Smith, proxy for Brother Robert Wayne Newton Jr. for senior warden.
Brother Smith, proxy for Brother New. You are chosen senior warden of this lodge, and I now invest you with the ensign of your office.
Trip over anything here.
The level demonstrates that we are descended from the same stock, partake of the same nature, and share the same hope. And though distinctions among men are necessary to preserve subordination, yet no eminence of station should make us forget that we are brethren. For he who is placed on the lowest spoke of fortune's wheel may be entitled to our regard, because a time will come, and the wisest knows not how soon, when all distinctions but those of merit and goodness shall cease, and death, the grand leveler of human greatness, reduce us to the same state. Your regular and punctual attendance at the stated meetings of this lodge is essentially necessary. In the absence of the master, you are to govern this lodge. In his presence, you are to assist him in the government of it. I firmly rely on your knowledge of Masonry and attachment to the lodge for the faithful discharge of the duties of this important trust. Look well to the west. Brother Installing Marshal, present the next officer for installation.
Brother Installing Officer, I present Brother Scott Christopher Springer for installation as Junior Warden.
Brother Springer, you are chosen junior warden of this lodge, and I now invest you with the badge of your office. The plumb admonishes us to walk uprightly in our several stations, to hold the scales of justice in equal poise, to observe the just medium between intemperance and pleasure, and to make our passions and prejudices coincide with the line of our duty. To you is committed the superintendence of the craft during the hours of refreshment. It is therefore indispensably necessary that you should not only be temperate and discreet in the indulgence of your own inclinations, but carefully observe that none of the craft be suffered to convert the means of refreshment into intemperance or excess. Your regular attendance is particularly requested, and I have no doubt that you will faithfully execute the duty which you owe to your present appointment. Look well to the south. Brother Installing Marshal, present the next officer for installation.
Brother Installing Officer, I present Brother Hussein Hamandachi, proxy for William Charles May for installation as treasurer.
Brother Hamandachi, proxy for Brother May. You are chosen treasurer of this lodge, and I now invest you accordingly. It is your duty to receive all monies from the hands of the secretary, keep a fair and just account of the same, and pay them out as you may be ordered by the worshipful master or by vote of the lodge. I trust your regard for the interests of the fraternity will prompt you to the faithful discharge of the duties of your office. Brother Installing Marshal, present the next officer for installation.
Brother Installing Officer, I present Brother David Carroll Morris for installation as secretary.
Brother Morris, you are once again chosen secretary of this lodge and are now invested accordingly. It is your duty carefully to observe the proceedings of the lodge, keep a fair record of all things proper to be written, receive all monies due the lodge, and pay them over to the treasurer, taking his receipt for the same. Your good inclination to Masonry and this lodge, I hope, will induce you to discharge your office with fidelity, and by so doing, you will merit and receive the esteem and applause of your brethren. Brother Installing Marshal, present the next officers for installation.
Brother Installing Officer, I present Brother Frank Todd Anthony for installation as Senior Deacon, and Brother Christian Robert Prentice for installation as Junior Deacon.
Brother Anthony, Brother Prentice, you are chosen deacons of this lodge, and I now invest you with the badges of your office. There we go. Oh, you messed up his hair. To you is especially entrusted the reception and accommodation of visiting brethren. It is also your province to attend on the master and wardens and to act as their proxies in all the active duties of the lodge, particularly such as relate to the reception and conducting of candidates into the different degrees in Masonry, and in the immediate and responsible practice of our rites. Not doubting your vigilance and attention, I trust your faithful discharge of the duties of your offices will entitle you to the esteem of your brethren. Brother Installing Marshal, present the next officer for installation.
Brother Installing Officer, I present Brother Jeffrey Sanford Wells, proxy for Brother John Brantley Baber for installation as chaplain.
Brother Wells, proxy for Brother Baber, you are appointed chaplain of this lodge, and I now invest you with the badge of your sacred office. The principles and precepts of Freemasonry are in strict accordance with the teachings of the Great Light in Masonry. These enlighten life and illumine love. And though Masonry is not a religion, it is essentially religious. In all her laws and teachings, she stands for whatever is good, a cloud by day and a pillar of fire by night, pointing the way to a glorious immortality. In your hands, may this badge prove a gospel of love, leading men to light and life everlasting, by drawing them nearer to the great architect of the universe. Brother Installing Marshal, present the next officers for installation.
Brother Installing Officer, I present Brother James Eiley McDaniel, proxy for Brother Andy Carl McDonald for installation as Senior Steward, and Brother Gary Paul Franz, proxy for Brother Eric Dean Parkhurst for installation as Junior Steward.
Brother McDaniel, proxy for Brother McDonald. Nice to keep that in the the Celtic family. And Brother France, proxy for Brother Parkhurst, you are appointed stewards of this lodge, and I now present you with the badges of your office. The duties of your offices are to assist in the collection of dues and subscriptions, to keep an account of the lodge expenses, to see that the tables are properly furnished at refreshment and that every brother is suitably provided for, and generally to assist the deacons and other officers in performing their duties. Your regular and early attendance will afford the best proof of your zeal and attachment to the lodge. Brother Installing Marshal, present the next officer for installation.
Brother Installing Officer, I present Brother Larry Dwayne Parks for installation as marshal.
Brother Parks, you are appointed marshal of this lodge and are now invested with the insignia of your office. The office you hold is an important one, as it is your duty to conduct all public processions of the lodge. Hence, the respectable appearance of the craft will, in a great measure, depend upon your energy, promptness, and decision. Brother Installing Marshal, present the next officer for installation.
Brother Installing Officer, I present Brother James Cole for installation as musician.
Brother Cole, you are appointed musician of this lodge, and I now invest you with the jewel of your artistic office. The gift of music which you bring to our meetings is truly a work of art. From the patriotic songs which complement our opening ceremonies, to the inspiring marches rendered when new members are brought into our order, richly enhance the meaning of the words spoken on those occasions. As harmony is the strength and support of our institution, so may the harmonies which you render as musician strengthen and support the work. Brother Installing Marshal, you will escort our musician to the instrument of his office. Brother Installing Marshal, present the next officer for installation.
Brother Installing Officer, I present Brother Adam Samuel Roth, proxy for Charles Alfred Selby for installation as Tyler.
Brother Roth, proxy for Brother Selby, you are appointed Tyler of this lodge, and I now invest you with the badge and implement of your office.
I've got a club.
As the sword is placed in the hands of the tiler to enable him effectually to guard against the approach of cowens and eavesdroppers, and suffer none to pass or repass but such as are duly qualified, so should it morally serve as a constant admonition to us to set a guard at the entrance of our thoughts, place a watch at the door of our lips, and post a sentinel at the avenue of our actions, thereby excluding every unqualified and unworthy thought, word, and deed, and preserving consciences void of offense towards God and towards man. Your punctual and early attendance will afford the best proof of your zeal for the institution. Brethren, such is the nature of our Constitution, that as some must of necessity rule and teach, so others must, of course, learn to submit and obey. Humility in both is an essential duty. The officers appointed to govern your lodge, and whom you have selected for that purpose, are sufficiently conversant with the rules of propriety and the laws of the institution to avoid exceeding the powers with which they are entrusted. And you are, as Masons, of too generous dispositions to envy their preferment. I therefore trust that you will have but one aim, to please each other, and unite in the grand design of being happy and communicating happiness. Finally, brethren, as this association has been formed and perfected in so much unanimity and concord, in which we greatly rejoice, so may it long continue. May you long enjoy every satisfaction and delight which disinterested friendship can afford. May kindness and brotherly affection distinguish your conduct as men and as Masons. Within your peaceful walls, may your children's children celebrate with joy and gratitude the transactions of this auspicious solemnity. And may the tenets of our profession be transmitted through your lodge, pure and unimpaired, from generation to generation. Brother Installing Marshal, you will make the proclamation.
In the name of the most worshipful Grand Lodge of ancient, free, and accepted Masons of the Commonwealth of Virginia, I proclaim the officers of Acacia Lodge No. 16 duly installed and a lodge properly constituted for the ensuing year. Proclamation I make to the south. This proclamation I make to the west. This proclamation I make to the east.
This completes the ceremony of the installation of the officers of this lodge. Are there any presentations for the newly installed worshipful master at this time? Please come.
On behalf of my family and we are so proud of you.
Oh, nice.
And there's something inside.
Ooh.
Very nice, yeah.
Thank you guys. Thank you, Kate.
I thought it was going to be a tiny gavel.
I like this. Thank you guys so much. I really like too the Masonic box.
That's beautiful.
Very nice.
Beautiful.
No.
There you go.
Guess I'll come up now. Thank you for showing up today.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. As you have been duly elected and installed, it is no longer my purview to wear the official Acacia Lodge Master's Square, which is passed down from master to master year after year. So it is now my privilege to invest you with it.
I'll wear this well and make sure it is kept in a safe place.
Yes, you get. Oh, go ahead.
We can presumably pass it on to Bobby next year.
You're counting down the days already.
I am not.
A tradition was started by Dave.
Oh, wow.
Is that right?
So congratulations, Joe. You're going to do great things this year.
Thank you.
And I'm happy to be on the sidelines supporting you.
Thank you, Worshipful. It's been a good year too.
Yes.
An excellent job.
Thank you.
Are there any other presentations? If not, Worshipful Master, you're on your own.
Thank you,
So-
Right Worshipful.
I'm out of here. Oh, sorry.
I can use this. I'll just use this one. So
Oh, yes, I do. Thank you.
I'd like to thank everyone for coming out on this this snowy Saturday morning. I know it's been a challenge. I'd like to thank first off my wife, Kate, for helping. And as those of you who've been in this position know, it is not only a challenge for us as Masons, but it's also, with the amount of time we're gone, tough for our wives and families. So just want to thank my wife, Kate. I'd like to thank all the officers and brethren who've come before and who've entrusted me with this position. I'd like to thank now past master Jason Richards. I remember when you and Dwight Nick helped me with catechism. Starting out with the Interdependence Catechism a couple years ago. That was good. I'd like to thank basically everyone who's here to support me. My theme this year is going to be building the Acacia family. I'm going to be focusing on basically trying to get old members more involved, new members more involved, doing stuff for our widows, orphans, helping out families. There'll be more details to follow. And I'd like to get everyone out of here before the roads get too bad, since it looks like the snow is still coming down.
Worship Master, you seem to be improperly dressed. Here.
Oh.
I want to present you with a
Thank you, Right Worshipful. I'm now official.
name badge, and also for our past master. We need to appropriately address him as well.
I've already got my past master's pin on.
But now everybody will know.
Yes.
There we go. Good year.
But brethren, thank you for coming out. And then we have a closing benediction. Brother.
Thank
All rise and bow your heads.
Almighty God, we offer you our heartfelt thanks for our newly installed officers and for all the blessings of this life. We affectionately remember at this time of the year all of the past leaders of this lodge, and especially those whom death has taken from us and who have been committed to your loving care. The Lord bless us and keep us. The Lord make his face shine upon us and be gracious unto us. The Lord lift up his countenance upon us and give us peace, both now and evermore. Amen.
Brethren, friends, family, let's go eat.
Let's take
You want a group picture?